And thank you all for joining us today for the City Council Forum for District 6. We're pleased to have you all. As people are joining us, just a couple of quick announcements, and we are recording this so people can refer back to it. And it is a webinar format. So although you're muted, we would love to have your questions, or if you have something that you want to put in the Q&A or in the chat feature, please feel free to do so. I'm Tracy Mayer, and I am the Executive Director of the Hotel Association of North Texas. And I want to thank and welcome our co-host today. We have Jeff Kittner, who is the COO of the North Dallas Chamber of Commerce. And we have Gabriella Gilmore, who is the Executive Director of the Stemmons Corridor Business Association. Our moderator today is Ken Benson. Ken is the Public Policy Advisor for the Hotel Association of North Texas. And again, we are so pleased to have you all here.
Thank you, Tracy. We are, like she said, we're pleased to have all of our, or some of our members joining us today. And I just want to take a moment to introduce you to the candidates who are running for the District 6 seat. Our special guests today are Monica Alonso. Tony Cajillo could not join us due to a work conflict, but we have Wendy Lee Macon, our incumbent Omar Narvaez, and has Earl Thomas joined us yet?
No.
Okay. Well, our questions today will focus on key issues important to the Dallas business and hospitality community.
You want me to start?
Yes.
Ken, you go for it.
Hi, everybody. My name's Ken Benson. As Tracy said, I'm a public affairs consultant here in town and public policy, public affairs consultant to the Hotel Association as well. I want to thank all the candidates for being here today and participating in this forum hosted by 3 business-focused organizations. We've already spent a little time talking to them about the forum and asking if they had any questions. We're going to give them a couple minutes introduction statements to sort of talk about themselves, and then we'll move into a series of questions and we'll give them about a minute to respond to each of them. They will hear this bell when their 1 minute is up. We've told them that they don't have to immediately stop talking in the middle of that sentence when they hear the bell, but to finish your thoughts and allow them to sort of give you a view of how they see the issues that are important to the city of Dallas. So with that, let's start with the introductions of the candidates to the attendees today. We'll do a 2-minute introduction. We'll allow them to have 2 minutes to introduce themselves to you. We will work in reverse order. And Mr. Thomas, welcome to the forum. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. How are you? I'm trying to fix this thing.
That's okay.
Thank you for having me. Good to see you.
Hi.
We are going to start with the introductions. As I said, we're going to allow the candidates to introduce themselves in reverse order, and we'll give them each a couple of minutes. Mr. Thomas, since you are last in the alphabet, you can go first. So give us a couple of minutes and talk about ourselves and why you're running.
My name is Earl D. Thomas, pastor here at the Mountaintop home of the New Mount Zion Primitive Baptist Church, resident here in West Dallas, been in District 6 for a long time. I'm sure people have read the articles and whatnot, man. I'm excited, honored to be able to serve the community in another capacity. I'm running, the answer changes often, but I'm running because racism is still a part of our everyday conversations. And as long as that's a part of our everyday conversations, which is the root of why some of these things just creep up on us like that, somebody like myself is always going to have something to say. I want to fight for people who don't have the same opportunities and advantages that some other people may have, and I do.
You froze on us, Mr. Thomas. Tell you what, we'll move on to Ms. Narvaez, and we'll come back to you and let you have a minute to finish your introduction a little bit later. So Mr. Narvaez.
Thank you so much, Ken, and thank you to the SCBA, the North Dallas Chamber, as well as the Hotel Association of North Texas for having this forum for us today as we talk about the issues facing the city of Dallas. My name is Omar Narvaez. I am the current council member for District 6 here in the city of Dallas. And for the past 4 years, I think that we have brought experienced, effective leadership. And what is really exciting for me is when I hear from city staff, as well as my colleagues, the police department, the fire department, and folks from all across the city, that District 6 finally has a voice at Dallas City Hall. And I'm proud of the fact that we have been able to empower our residents in order so that they can know what's going on at City Hall, and they can have a voice at City Hall. My family has lived in the district for nearly 90 years. My mother and my great-grandmother and my great-grandfather started their family in the Ledbetter community in far west Dallas. And then my mom, as she became a small girl, my grandfather moved them to the Bachman Lake neighborhood. And my mom grew up on Manana Street there in Bachman Lake. So I have long ties to our district. And what I'm really excited about is the accomplishments that we've made so far over the last 4 years. Unfortunately, the list is so long. So what I will tell you to do is go to omarfordallas.com, and you can see that list there on our website, and you can see the many, many accomplishments that we've done. And I'm very proud of the fact also that those accomplishments in 2018, I was named Best City Council Member by the Dallas Observer. And in 2020, I was named Texan of the Year by the Dallas Voice. Once again, my name is Omar Narvaez, and I'm the current council member here in District 6, City of Dallas.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas, you're back with us. You want to finish your opening remarks? You got about a minute left. You're muted, Mr. Thomas.
I definitely apologize. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Thank you guys for having me. I'm looking forward to this conversation. I don't know what you missed, but you know my name. Let's get to it.
All right, there'll be plenty of time to catch up on some of the other stuff. Okay, moving on. Ms. Macon.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you guys for taking the time to hold this for us, and for getting the word out so others can see as well. I am not from here. I am actually from Houston and moved to Dallas, or actually to the Metroplex, about 16 years ago, and attempted to move to District 6 about 6 years ago, prior to the big push of being over here. So we did finally get to buy a house around 3.5 years ago, and this is where we've chosen to raise our family. My husband and I both work in the design district right now, and our son is a DISD student, and that one of the actual local schools to the neighborhood is what brought us here. And as a mom, it was the catalyst for me deciding to run. Seeing what is happening in our district, I am proud of so many people in our district that do finally use their voice. And now it is time for District 6 to have a leader that will be proactive, not reactive. We need a leader that is going to offer solutions, not wait for their coworkers to offer a solution to sign on to. We need major change in our district. It is disheartening to me to hear what my constituents say in the district as to how they feel our district is going. We're going backwards, not forward, and it is time to move forward. And I want a safe neighborhood, safe district, safe city for my son to grow up in. And so I decided to step out of my comfort zone of education and run for Dallas City Council.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Alonso.
Thank you, Mr. Benson. Thank you very much. And thank you, Stemmons Corridor, as well as the North Dallas Chamber and the Hotel Association. I'm very happy to see you all again, at least virtually. We had the opportunity to work together a lot, and I will tell you that I still am active, involved in a lot of what you all are involved in as well. So ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you that I know everybody knows, but my name is Monica Alonso, and I'm ready to take action for a positive impact We lack leadership. We've lacked it for the past 4 years, especially in the last 2 years. We need someone that is going to be there for the constituency, not someone that is going to follow the other colleagues and whatever they do, that's what he's going to do. We need leadership that is going to work with all of you. We need leadership that even though that we disagree, we agree to disagree, we will not be vindictive. I will not be a photo op council representative. I will not be a signature representative just to discuss issues that become bickering. And so therefore, I will tell you that we are ready to not only be prepared for what is coming to the pandemic relief of what we'll be getting for the federal government for everybody in the district. We will be ready to help the constituency to get back to work, and we'll be ready to be able to provide growth that makes sense. But we will do all of this together because you all know that we have a good collaborative experience, that we've worked together before, and whether we agree or disagree, we still move forward because we all want the best for Dallas. 9th city that is the largest in the nation, and we need to want to be on the top 5 and slowly but surely getting there. But we can only do it together. And I will tell you that we all want what is best for our families, for our constituency, for our clients and or customers. And we want to make sure that we provide a better quality of life, safe, vibrant, and beautiful city that we have in Dallas, Texas. And I'm ready to be a part of that.
Thank you very much. So let's move on to the questions. We'll start with just a general question to sort of get a sense for attendees, candidates. When you're walking and talking in the district, what are the top 3 issues that you are hearing from your constituents that need to be addressed down at City Hall? We'll have Mr. Narvaez go first, followed by Ms. Macon, Alonso, and Mr. Thomas. Mr. Narvaez. And 1 minute each.
Thank you so much. And during my block walks, what I'm hearing from constituents is affordable housing, high property taxes, and green space. That's the things that I'm hearing from residents as I talk to them, are the things that are important to them and how we're going to impact those. And I have a strong record being the current chair of the Environment Sustainability Committee, as well as having been on the Housing Committee when it was EcoDev and Housing before. I'm currently on the EcoDev Committee now. And those are the things that we need to continue to work on, the policies that we've started to create, and now we start to implement them. And that's the hardest part, is the implementation. And that's what we're going to be doing as we move forward into the next term, is how we implement these different policies across not just the district, but all across the city of Dallas.
Okay. Ms. Macon.
Sorry, I'm going to preface something really quickly. I have a sick dog, so if you see me disappear, please do not think that I am being rude or inconsiderate. My little I call him baby. He's 15. He's had some stomach issues lately, and he was just kind of acting weird. So if I do disappear, it is not because I'm unhappy or upset. It is solely because of my dog. Okay.
Time's up. No, just kidding. Just kidding. 1 minute.
Sorry. Okay, what I am hearing most from them, and I'm going to just use their words, they do not want to see the police defunded. The defund movement, they are tired of seeing. They are tired of the increased property taxes, our horrible infrastructure. Those three things would actually be tied for first, followed by the homelessness issue and the environmental concerns, and how they are, even though we have passed a CCAP, those concerns are still being overlooked, and it just kind of barely scratched the surface of anything. More needs to be done. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Alonso.
Thank you, Ken. I will tell you that public safety is very strong in what they are concerned about. And do we have the support? Do we have the funding for us to be able to have the necessary officers? And I will tell you that even though they are in short-staffed. They still try very hard to be able to serve and protect us, which we're very proud of. And I will share with you that they have a great ability to communicate with the community, which I'm appreciative, even though they did not get the support from the current representative in regards to budgeting and taking away some services that he did not prevail. We still have a great communication, but it's very important. Public safety all around is very, very important. Another thing is also how is it that, how are we doing? And one, obviously the community is very concerned. Are we going to have enough money for the services to be able to provide? And you and I both know that money comes from revenue, comes from sales tax, property taxes, etc. And as you all, in regards to
Well, can we, Ms. Alonso, can we just leave it there? Because the next question is going to be actually about the budget. So we'll come back and talk about that.
Yes, sir. And I will tell you that that's a major concern. Another thing too is
Well,
that
your minute, Ms. Alonso, your minute's up. We'll have some time for some other issues. Public safety, budget, and we'll come back.
Thanks,
Mr.
sir.
Thomas, 1 minute on the 3 issues that you're hearing from constituents out there that are the most important to them.
Absolutely. Jobs. They say, Pastor, how can I afford a home of any amount if I don't have a job? We need jobs in the community, and we're not doing a good job in getting the jobs in the community for the people of the community. So that's a whole thing in itself. People are broke, they're hungry, they're scared, they need money. The only way we fix this is by jobs, not by handouts that last only for a few weeks, if that. Our young people, they put this in a whole cluster by itself. They say the crime is high, the violence is high, murders and prostitution and drugs and all of this is high. Our young people are racing in the streets. Let's give them something to do. They don't have anything to do. We need to implement things, strategies, organizations, not just mentorship. We need stuff for our young people to do between the ages of, let's just say 7 and 17. They have nothing to do. They're at home all day. Of course, they get on the parents' nerve, but they're in different things because they have nothing constructive to do. Property taxes. They say, Pastor, we don't have a mortgage, we don't have a rent, or we don't have a lease that we have to pay, but we still feel like they're trying to get, my minute is up, we still feel like they're trying to get us out of here because if we can't pay the property taxes, we're gonna have to move anyway. So these are the things. Homelessness is one of the major things. If we help the homeless, we get a lot of stuff.
We may have time to get to the homeless issue, Mr. Thomas, here in a second. Thank you for telling us about the main issues that you are seeing in the district as you canvass and talk to voters. But let's move on to Ms. Alonso mentioned the budget and budgeting. So let's move on to that. Ms. Macon, you'll go first, follow Alonso, Thomas, and Alvarez. The question is this: because of the impacts of COVID, the 2021 and 22 city budget is expected to again face revenue shortfalls in sales taxes and property tax collections compared to pre-COVID levels. What is going to be your approach to the budget process this year? And we'll start with Ms. Macon. Ms. Macon.
Okay, so I have done some investigating on this, and from what I'm being told, the reports being received is that based on the sales tax reports we're receiving, that we will actually exceed the budgeted revenue for sales tax. I know we haven't gotten all of the impact from the current winter storm. And my approach to the budget this year is going to, one, be prepared for the meeting. I will actually show up and have taken at least the plastic wrap off of my binder and work with my fellow council members to discuss the budget ahead of time. I know it's a big book. It was over 600 pages, but I'd like to also listen to my constituents and prioritize a couple of things, such as the police budget and infrastructure. I've hear repeatedly, we pay so much in property taxes, and repeatedly I hear, I almost wouldn't mind paying this much in property taxes if, I wasn't hurting my car every time I drove to work. The streets are literally tearing up my car. So, that was like great timing. I was just finishing that up. So that's how I would approach that.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Alonso, how are you going to approach the budget this year?
Well, as you know, they the last budget they were pretty conservative, and I think that it's that's important. But also not only to be able to get the information from staff, but be able to understand the community of what their priorities would be and work with them. I think that when we work together, we're able to solve a lot of the issues, and we will not always have everybody that wants one thing that will provide it to them. But if we do it together, we'll be able to converse about having it as a win-win for all. And I think it's important because I think that when we include everyone, it makes more sense and they're more respective and have a sense of ownership of what is being provided for them in their own city.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Thomas.
Well, first of all, inclusion would be the main thing. We need to get to the root of things. I will allocate these funds to the sources that will benefit the people first, the people of the community, the district first. Oversight, transparency, honesty, and proper strategies to sit at the table and hear everyone understand what we need as a whole in our district and for our city, and not allow anyone to be left out with getting this budget together. That's how we make it work. We do it as a whole.
Okay. Ms. Navarez.
Thank you. So with the budget, as you all know, it's multi-billions of dollars, and you have to go through it line by line and look at things. The good thing that we did in this last budget is that we were very conservative on the sales tax. And so at this point right now, as the economy has increased, we are about right now sitting somewhere about $40 million over what we budgeted for this current budget. So that's going to help us a whole bunch as we close the year and as we move into the next year. The other thing is property values are holding, and they're holding steady. So that will also help us to continue to be able to make sure that we have enough revenue as well. The last I heard when I spoke with Elizabeth Raich, our CFO, she is not as concerned as we were in the last budget when we were discussing it. We were talking about possibly a $60 million shortfall. Now she's very confident that we should be in good shape when we get to the next budget. And then also we have the CARES Act money from the last that helped us with this budget. And we have the monies that are coming in from the federal government, which will also help us for this next budget. And then also is, talking to the community and finding out what are the things that they want. And I'm very proud of the fact that for every budget, we always have town halls. This year, obviously, because of COVID, we had to have virtual town halls. And the really great, exciting thing is we also did them, bilingual over the phone. And we had record turnout in District 6. Well over 1,000 people joined each of our phone calls, as well as our virtual calls. And I'm very proud of the fact that we also do a survey every year so that we can figure out what are the priorities for the residents in District 6.
Thank you for that. Just want to sort of get your views on the budget and how you're going to approach it. So thank you for giving us, all the candidates for giving us your views on that. Let's move on to probably you mentioned, some of you already mentioned this, public safety and the question on public safety. Public safety is probably a #1 issue that's been discussed in several council districts. This past year, there was some controversy over the discussion at Dallas City Council to take away $7 million in projected overtime pay for police and fire, and using that money for other purposes. Some call this an attempt to defund the police. I have 3 public safety related questions for you. And because of the importance of this issue, we'll give you a little more time than a minute. We'll give you 1.5 to 2 minutes. And because we want to fully understand your position on public safety at the forum today. So our questions are this. First, do you view the proposal to take away police overtime pay during this last budget season as an attempt to defund the police? Our second question is, do you think the city of Dallas needs more police officers on the streets? And if elected, would you add more police officers to the force? And if so, how many? And then third, what other public safety measures do you advocate the city of Dallas adopt? We'll start with Ms. Alonso, followed by Mr. Thomas, Mr. Navarez, and Ms. Macon. So Ms. Alonso, you're up first.
Thank you, Ken. And I tried to write all of them that you asked me, but first of all, I think that they did not succeed, and technically they tried, I should say, defund it, but in reality, it stayed within public safety, so they did not succeed whatever they thought they wanted to do. And they wanted to impress and they didn't, because it actually backfired. And now there's a lot of concern of their support from the associations. And so now they're begging and bullying for them to be able to be supported. Secondly, I will, in review of needing more, the answer is yes. I remember when I first, and I don't know, many of you know that I was in the council before, we had at least like one officer for 300, and I think we need more officers. But also in the police force, I think that we need to target that. We already have the funding for them so that they could be able to be hired. So we need to work on that. And also, that is something that we need to continue to work on because it is very needed. Public safety is very needed across the district. As you know, and you've heard, the District 6 is high on homicides. It's high on robberies. It's high on thefts. And in the businesses, in the business areas as well. So we need to get some help. We need to work with our crime watch groups to be able to get that back on track. We need to work with listen to our businesses so that we can get back on track, because when I was in council, crime was down. And the reason it was down is because we communicated well with everybody. And we need to do that. And that is exactly what we're going to be working on when we get back in the seat.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Thomas, 3 questions for you. Do you view the council's discussions last year to take $7 million away from the police budget as an attempt to defund the police? Do you think we need more police officers on the street? And if so, how much or how many? And third, what other public safety measures do you advocate for the city of Dallas? You have a couple of minutes, Mr. Thomas.
No, it was not an attempt to defund the police. Do the police need $7 million more to do what they haven't been doing? The police's job is to protect and serve. That's not what they do here in our district. They bother and they badger a lot. I'm just going to be honest. I have good friends that are police officers. I know where the police department derived from. Again, I'm not here to attack people. I'm only here to address issues and become the solution. But we know where the police department comes from. I've said in my church and had plenty of discussions with them concerning the community. We do not have a transparent and honest line of communication between the police and the people of the community. It's not the people that need reform. The police don't even need to spend money and waste money on reform. We need to do a better job of screening people who say they want to be police officers. That way we can keep violence down. Do we need more police officers on the street? No, we don't, because a lot of them don't serve the right purpose in which they were took an oath to do their job. Am I saying that the police department is bad? No, I'm just saying that just like people in the streets, people in businesses, people at church, people in the community can get better, our police officers can get better. What we need is leadership that will actually address what's going on in our police departments, address the leadership that's going on in our police departments. And then I believe that will trickle down to the people. We know why we are here. And that's because, and I hope this doesn't offend, because that's not my place. Black people are targeted a lot by police officers, specifically white police officers. And now our community in District 6 is so divided when it comes to things like that. We rather take photos and say, hey, this is happening, but we're still being shot down in the street. Look at Minnesota. I know it's not here in Dallas, but it's happened here in Dallas. We owe it to ourselves to sit down and have talks about what people really need, because when the badges and the guns come off, there are people too. So yes, I care about them as well as the people of the community, but no, I do not think that we need more, and we don't. We're not trying to defund them, but we could allocate those funds to do more for the people and the constituents in District 6.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Mr. Narvaez.
Thank you so much, Ken. So the $7 million was not an attempt to defund Dallas Police Department. What it was an attempt to take a runaway part of the budget, and we have to hold every single department accountable, including the police department. And the overtime budget had become bloated. And we had to do something in order to make sure that management took a look at it and were able to do something that needed to be done. Those $7 million ended up funding a lot of parts of the mayor's task force on violent crime, which were good things, like adding 93 more officers that you already employ at an average pay of $88,000 a year that are sitting behind desks doing support work that civilians can be doing. By the end of this budget, we should have those 93 officers back out on patrol. Overall, in the entire city of Dallas Police Department, you have 1,200 police officers that are doing support roles instead of doing actual police work. And at an average of $88,000 a year, I want those licensed peace officers out in the streets doing the jobs that they were actually hired to do. With that, I also want to talk about, I'm very proud of the fact that my office was able to start 3 business crime watch groups throughout the district. So the Northwest Business Association actually started off as the Northwest Crime Watch Group, which I helped found with those hoteliers that were up there in Northwest Dallas. And then we also had 2 other business crime watch groups that we helped get started, and they're still active to this day. Overall, the budget is hard, and you have to make choices and you have to make decisions. But at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to hire our way out of and be able to afford it at the same time, because these officers do make a lot of money and they should make a lot of money. I'm also proud of the fact that in my first term that I helped champion the increase for starting pay for our Dallas police officers and our Dallas firefighters. And so these are some of the things that we will continue to do. We work hand in hand with our police officers and the associations. And when it came to the $7 million cut in overtime, I actually had conversations with all 3 of the major police associations, the Black Police Association, the National Latino Police Association, as well as the Dallas Police Association. And all 3 of those organizations said that they would support the $7 million cut on the overtime, as long as when we get to the mid-year, which is where we're at, and if we have the funds, that we would put that money back. And that's what we agreed to do. And that's what we will be doing when the vote comes time to reconcile the budget.
Thank you. Ms. Macon.
Oh. Thank you. Do I view this as defunding the police department? I absolutely do. Mostly because it was a reactive response and not a proactive response. The unfortunate death of George Floyd occurred on May 25th. TC Broadnax released his memo about the One Dallas reel on June 4th. It was written June 4th. I believe it was released June 5th. And then Councilmember Narvaez and I think 8 other council members sent in their letters asking for reallocation of funds on June 9th. Had these been done prior, or we had heard anything prior to this, then I don't think it would have come across that way, but this absolutely seemed punitive, that it was something they were trying to do to punish the police department, not help them. I do think we need to hire police officers. We need approximately 800 more officers. As an educator, I will tell you, if I called you about your son or child because they did something wrong in my class the first time, okay, it's an all right conversation. The second time, it's an okay conversation. Moving forward, it's not a good conversation. Parents are tired of hearing me call. The only time we see police officers in our neighborhood is when something is wrong, then we're not building those relationships that this is actually addressing. What I'm hearing from our constituency is, I want to see them in my neighborhood. I miss knowing who my officers are. I know we have the Unidos program. I think it's a great program, but we need the officers that patrol our areas to be involved with our constituents. I had constituents specifically name this officer, told me all about y'all when you moved in. I hate that I don't see him patrolling around anymore. Thirdly, sorry, I've got these pulled up over here. What other public safety measures do I want to see? I'll use the park across the street as a prime example. Policing is not the only thing that is needed. When I first moved in, the park across the street for me was the meetup. It is where everybody came to fight. The first day I took my son to that park, there was used needles, used condoms on the slide. all of that. Unfortunately, there was a mom there. I'll finish very fast. There was a mom there. She picked the condom up. She was used to seeing it. We called and called and called. Cops eventually started showing up. We got the fights and everything taken care of. And then the park sat empty. I started talking to the city departments because we weren't getting anything and said, can we do this? Can we do this? And now we have new basketball goals, no more shot up basketball goals. We have soccer goals and we have families using the park, and we're not having to call on the fights and the condoms and the everything else anymore.
Thank you, Ms. Matheson. Thank you. Appreciate the time. I want to give you enough time, all of you, enough time to sort of talk about public safety because it's such an important issue. Let me move on to a question important to the tourism industry, and that's the use of the hotel occupancy tax. Tourism is a major economic engine for Dallas. It generates pre-pandemic more than $5 billion in economic activity in the city. District 6 has 27 hotels of more than 100 rooms in it, which employ thousands of people, many of which live in District 6 or around District 6. And it represents, the hotels represent a source of major economic activity within the district. This past year, the Dallas City Council voted to gradually reduce funding to the city's tourism bureau, Visit Dallas, by just over a third over a period of several years, with that money going to support the arts. That will reduce Visit Dallas's budget, their funding to just over 20% of the hotel tax versus around 30% of the hotel tax. If elected, would you support taking additional funding from the hotel occupancy tax for purposes other than tourism marketing? So our question is, if elected, would you support taking additional funding from the hotel occupancy tax for purposes other than tourism marketing? We'll start with Mr. Thomas, move on to Mr. Navarez, Ms. Megan, and Ms. Alonso. Mr. Thomas.
I'm candid and honest. I really don't understand the full capacity of the hotel tax. But yes, there are a lot of hotels here in District 6. I'll say it like this. The majority of the people that live in District 6 can't afford to spend one night in most of these hotels. If these taxes will benefit property owners here and not do anything to raise their taxes, I'm with it. If it doesn't, if it's going to hurt them, if it's going to raise taxes, if it's not going to benefit them in any shape, form, or fashion, I'm against it.
Thank you. Mr. Navarez.
Thank you, Ken. I absolutely was a big supporter of making sure that the eventually it'll be 15% of the hotel occupancy tax will go to arts. The arts is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and in the city of Dallas, it's hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's countless jobs as well throughout the entire city. And so we have to make sure that we're supporting the arts like our peer cities are. The city of Houston, San Antonio, El Paso, Austin, all had much higher percentages of their tourism dollars, their hotel occupancy taxes that were given to the arts. So that was something that needed to be done. And I think that's also going to still benefit the hotels and the hotel industry, because Dallas is becoming well known for being an arts and culture hub for not just our region, but the entire state of Texas and the states that surround us, because those states just do not have the arts hubs that we do here in the city of Dallas. Now, when it comes to being able to use it for anything else, we'd have to find out what that is, and we'd have to do a deep dive as to whether that is something that could be done or could not be done with the HOT, because we all know the HOT is a very complicated tax, and you just can't go willy-nilly whatever you want and decide, oh, we're going to take it for police, or we're going to take it for this, or take it for that. There are very specific parameters through state law that you must follow with the hotel occupancy tax.
Thank you. Ms. Macon.
Okay. The hotel occupancy tax. I am not far off from Earl. This was a new one for me. I did start researching this yesterday. I don't have a full definitive side on it. As long as everything, let me say, I do need to research it more and know exactly what is allowed to be spent on it, or what it's allowed to be, how the funds are allowed to be utilized. As long as everything is taken care of, and then we can apply some to the arts, I would be for that. But I want to know that A, B, and C is what we're supposed to do with that money, and that is what is happening first before anything gets sent away for arts or anything else. As far as,
Okay, so that'll suffice. We appreciate that.
okay,
Well,
thanks.
the hotel community will get you more information as we move on.
Yes, they will, trust me.
Ms. Alonso.
Thank you, Ken. Everyone knows that I'm a strong supporter of the arts, but I will say that when we work together, we're able to make things happen. And it's very important to have all our tools when people come, that we have our all that is needed for them to enjoy themselves. Any visitor is always welcome, and we are hoping that they come and they stay here and they eat here and they spend their money, and then before they leave. And that is very important. So how are they going to stay here? And that is through our hotels, and we need to support them as well. And they're going to come and enjoy an activity of the arts, and they're going to stay in the hotel. So we need to work to where it can be available for both, because those are great engine tools that provide the taxes for us to be able to provide the services that we're going to provide to the city. As you know, I was a former member of the Dallas Convention and Visitors Bureau, now Visit Dallas, through the request of Mayor Rawlings. And I worked very well with all of them, because I tell them, everyone that comes here, spend their money and then they can leave. And I'm going to be a strong supporter of everything that we need to be able to provide for our city, to be able to provide the services for our constituency.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Alonso. I want to sort of return to public safety. We've got a couple questions that have come in over the chat, as well as some prior questions we've got that deal with homelessness. It's quite an issue for many, many businesses in the district. And so our question is, what is your plan to solve the homeless encampments and panhandlers that run rampant in District 6? That's from one of the members of the Stemmons Corridor Business Association. And that sort of summarizes what some of the other comments have been as well. So we'll start with Mr. Navarez on that issue, followed by Ms. Macon, Ms. Alonso, and end it with Mr. Thomas. Mr. Navarez.
Thank you. Homelessness is a really hard issue. Regardless of what you do, you are going to get hate from all different places, because we have to take care of our neighbors that do not have homes. And sweeping and cleaning out encampments without offering a place for them to live or stay is just cruel. Now, that's not great for our district because of the amounts of space that we have where the homeless do create encampments. So what I'm proud of is at the end of last year, with some of our CARES Act dollars, through the leadership of Chairman West and Council Member Mendelson, that were on the Housing and Homeless Commission, they brought to us the ability to purchase 2 hotels, one in far North Dallas and one on Fort Worth Avenue, just south of where I live. And we took 2 crime-ridden hotels, and those have now become supportive housing for our neighbors that are homeless. To solve the issue is a slow and arduous process, but we have to make sure that we continue to create more supportive housing, because we have enough shelter space. The issue is that we don't have enough supportive housing. I'm also proud of the fact that we were able to negotiate with the businesses on the far upper Stemmons Corridor to pass the zoning case to bring the what will now be the world's largest Salvation Army compound. And once it's built, it'll be state of the art, but also will have supportive housing as well as day housing, so that the folks don't have to be pushed out during the day like they have been in the medical district. They'll actually still be able to stay on the facility and then be able to graduate and move into staying, getting supportive housing on the campus as well.
Okay, let's leave it at that and move on to Ms. Macon.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Homelessness is a huge issue and a growing issue in our district and our city. And there is not a one-step approach to it, because not everybody is in that situation for the same reason. We've got several homeless people that periodically sleep in our park, and in this process of block walking, I have learned, some of the different reasons that they're over there. One actually has a home right down the street, and their family just does not allow them to come to it. They receive support for her, but they don't allow her to live there, even though they're being compensated. So we need to discover what is happening, and we need plans to address each individual need. Is it addiction? Is it, situational? Was it from COVID? We cannot just approach it with this one size fits all mentality anymore. And get people in there. I know we've got a huge advocate that lives, I believe, in Fort Worth, Ron Hall. We need to talk to these people that have done the research and look to them for their expertise in ways to address it, so that they're not just being pushed around from here to here to here. We get our hands on a solution and we implement it. Thank you for not going to me. I heard it.
Thank you. Ms. Alonso.
Thank you, Ken. It's a tough question, but I can tell you there's many tough questions, tough issues that we have in Dallas. But when we work together, we're able to solve it a whole lot better. Understanding, listening to both sides. Yes, for the homeless, a lot of it has to do with mental health and issues that they have. But also for the business industries and the community, we also have to understand them. And that is, it has to do with public safety. So we need to work together to be able to solve it together. And that is something that can be done. And when we be given opportunities, that we take them, especially if it's going to be for the good, not wait 2.5 years for a zoning to take place for the Salvation Army to be able to start processing with what they want to do. They're wanting to help and we're delaying the issue. That does not help us. So that's why we need new leadership that will take everything right there and then, not wait 2.5 years to be able to get anything done.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Thomas.
Yes, we have the buildings that are free and clear. We just should put more energy toward helping these homeless people instead of bringing in more apartment homes that we don't need here in the district or around the city or wherever there are homeless people. I've been homeless before, so I can kind of relate to what we need. They didn't just put us up. They didn't just rehabilitate us, but they gave us the opportunity not to just have to qualify for something that we know we're not going to qualify for, but they helped us get qualified. What does that mean? There were programs and partnerships that got us off of the street, got us into programs that allowed us to get the jobs. My parents, as a matter of fact, to get the jobs and get connected to the people that didn't just help us for a moment, but helped us get back on our feet and stay on our feet. We need the proper leadership tools and strategies to keep these people off the street. Death will go down, crime will go down, homelessness will definitely go down through that. So I believe this is something that we should definitely get on right now. It doesn't take long.
Great, thank you very much. Let's we have time for one more question, and I guess because I want to leave some time for some closing comments by the candidates. We have had a question come in regarding the Airbnb issue and what your position is on Airbnb. It's been phrased in a couple different ways by members in terms of the associations. One said that short-term rentals or Airbnbs are hotels and are using illegal land uses. Another one said they create both a cultural and economic value for entrepreneurs. So our question is, what's your position on the passage of any regulations that relate that would restrict the operation of short-term rentals in the city of Dallas? And we'll begin with Ms. Malcolm, followed by Ms. Alonso, Mr. Thomas, and Mr. Navarez. You need to unmute yourself, Wendy.
Yes, got it. Sorry. Airbnbs, they seem to be plaguing our district for sure. Here specifically in West Dallas, we have had some very large homes built that were purchased and are being used for Airbnb. Was just out block walking. A bus literally brought about 40 people to two of them that are right next to each other. The one right behind my home began as a party home. It woke every neighbor around us up around 3 a.m. because there were over 100 people there paying a cover to get in. We were excited about the new development. We were excited about having somebody come in that was going to invest, thinking we were getting a new family into the neighborhood, and we did not. that aspect of it, I live it every weekend as that place is completely packed. On the flip side, I understand. I actually liked the original concept of Airbnb, especially helping in a time like we are, where we see our people being displaced because they cannot afford it. Having the ability to rent out a room in your house should be an option for us. That is not what's happening, though. We're seeing people buy complete homes, and yes, they are being used as hotels. We've got 20 cars in the streets and 3 to 4 king and queen size beds in each room. So there has to be some kind of conversation, if it's regulating it, at least doing what Austin is doing, where you pay, I think Austin or Tulsa.
So your position would basically be that you would favor talking about restricting their operation in the city of Dallas.
I absolutely would.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I want to make sure we have time for the
Sorry.
closing comments.
Yeah, thank you. I'm
keep
sorry
you to
about
about
that.
about a minute, candidates. Okay, Ms. Alonso.
I second that motion, Ken.
So what's your position on short-term rentals in the city of
No,
Dallas?
I will tell you that I know that is being discussed, and I think that we need to continue, but we should bring both sides to the table and be able to understand, because yes, there are many things that are going on in a particular area, and it has to do with also public safety and traffic, etc. Not to mention noise and on and on and on. But at the same time, there's opportunities that come to our city. So the question is, your question is, are you wanting to work it and or support it or work it a different way? And I believe that I look forward to having that discussion so that we can be able to come to an agreement. And if there's rules that they follow, but aside from the fact of putting rules together, is for us to implement them. And that's very key.
So you'd favor a discussion on restricting
Definitely.
short-term rentals in the city. Okay. Mr. Thomas.
I will favor a discussion of talking about how many other issues that are far more important than Airbnbs in our, I'm sorry, Mr. King, in our community. Let's talk about gentrification. Let's talk about some of the other things that we've done. Our streets are tore up. Stop touring our streets. Let's really redo our streets like they're doing on Irving Boulevard. There are so many parts of the district that get way more attention than other parts of the district. Those are things that we could talk about. They didn't stop these $400,000 and $500,000 homes from being built next to pre-existing homes that actually shot the property taxes up, that when we pay taxes, we have to pay taxes on these big homes and not on the homes that have been here for 50 to 100 years. So Airbnb, hey, maybe I'm gonna have to go stay in an Airbnb if I have to keep paying these high property taxes. So I think that's something that could be discussed later on down. That's not a major issue.
So yeah, I was gonna say, for you, it's not a major issue. That's what I want
No.
to get. Okay, Mr. Alvarez, your position on short-term rentals.
I'm definitely in favor of regulation, but we need to do smart regulation that the city can actually enforce. A little over a year ago, Chairwoman Arnold at the time created a task force between the short-term rental owners as well as the some residents in the city. And they came up with some proposals that came to the Quality of Life Arts and Culture Committee. Then Chairman Atkins, who's the vice chair of the committee, created a task force of council members. I happen to be one of those, along with Paula Blackman, David Blewett, and Adam Magoo. And the four of us are tasked with working with the city. A few weeks ago, the last Quality of Life meeting, the one before, not this past one that just passed, the one before, we were given 7 different options that the city is recommending to us to look at. Then it was my job to ask for a citywide discussion, town hall, if you want to call it. I went to Mayor Johnson. Mayor Johnson will be putting this on one of the agendas so that we can have a public hearing, so we can hear from the residents as well as the short-term rental owners of which of these 7, is it a combination, is it a hybrid, what will actually work that we can put good regulation that can be implemented by the city. And so that
Let's
meeting,
just-
we're waiting on Mayor Johnson to pick which meeting in May that we will have this public hearing. And then from there, we will, depending on what we do, this can be
Hey,
an
let's
ordinance change.
just leave it at that.
Okay.
Mr. Navarez. I want to make
It's
sure we
very
have time for your
complicated.
closing. It is a complicated issue. That's why we wanted to ask the question for you. So candidates, thank you for taking the time to answer our questions. I hope that the attendees of today's forum got a chance to get a sense of where you stand on some of the major policy issues that are facing the city of Dallas. So thank you for taking the time and answering our questions today. We want to move on to closing remarks. We want to give each of you a minute to say some closing remarks to attendees. I will be pretty tough on the minute because we are approaching 3 o'clock. We're going to go in alphabetical order. So Ms. Alonso, you'll go first, followed by Ms. Macon, Ms. Navarez, and Mr. Thomas. So Ms. Alonso, start us off and you've got 1 minute.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you for allowing us the opportunity to come before you. And my name is Monica Alonso. I'm 4th on the ballot and I ask for your support. I look forward to continuing to work with you because we've had good working relationships. I will not, even though we disagree, I will not be vindictive against you or any of your decisions that we make together. If I tell you one thing, we're gonna do it, not change it after a while. But I say, my name is Monica Alonso, monicaalonso.org, 4th on the ballot. So everyone and anyone that you know that is able to vote in District 6 to allow us the opportunity to come back, get to work, and be able to represent all of District 6. Thank you, and look forward to continuing to work with you.
Thank you. Ms. Macon.
Hey, thank you. Thank you again for holding this and for giving us a little extra time on some of those longer questions. My name is Wendy Macon. My website is www.wendymacon.com. You can contact me through there, look at other issues that I am also in favor of. I look forward to a fresh face in the seat, somebody that is invested in the area, a homeowner, a mom, an educator. It is time for new proactive leadership for our district. And thank you so much for listening to us today.
Thank you very much. Mr. Navarez, excuse me.
Thank you so much. And once again, thank you for hosting this forum to all the organizations. My name is Omar Narvaez. I am the incumbent here in District 6. And experienced, effective leadership is important. And we have advanced the district. We have a voice at City Hall now for our residents as well as our stakeholders. You can go to omarfordallas.com to learn more about me and to see the list of our accomplishments. And you can also call me anytime you want on my personal cell phone, 214-926-0172. Once again, my name is Omar Narvaez, and I look forward to serving you and the city of Dallas in the next term.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Navarez. I should say, candidates, if you want to put your contact information in the chat area, we're going to leave the chat open for a little bit afterwards, and so that the attendees can get your candidate and campaign information. Mr. Thomas, finish off with our closing statements. You've got 1 minute.
Yes, thank you for having me. If I was preaching, I would say I'm closing. Thank you for your bail. I will want to implement the bails back in church services. We're in COVID and people still be taking too long. We need that bail. Listen, win, lose, or draw. I'm here for the people. I would love to support any candidate that makes it out of this very important and very interesting election as the new or existing city council representative. It's time for us to work together. It's time for us to do better, though. People have to come to the table and show up with great ideas and willing to do something more than what's just expected. Follow me on all your social media. It's Earl D. Thomas, www.earldthomas.com to see about this campaign and what it is that we want to do here in the district, in the neighborhood, and for the community. You can reach me at any time. Let's work together. Let's be together. Let's be District 6 strong.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Mr. Thomas, and thank you again, candidates, for appearing today. If you've been following the chats, audience, you know there's another forum coming up, but I'm going to let Jeff Kittner of the North Dallas Chamber close us out, and he'll let him remind you of the upcoming forum. So it's been a pleasure to moderate the forum today. Candidates, thank you again for your time. And Jeff, over to you.
Thank you very much, Ken. On behalf of Gabriella, Tracy, and myself, I want to sincerely thank all of you for being here this afternoon. Thanks to our esteemed slate of candidates who are participating today: Monica Alonso, Wendy Lee Macon, Omar Narvaez, and Earl D. Thomas. We appreciate all of you taking the time out of your schedules to take part in this important forum. As a reminder, early voting starts next Monday, April 19th. Voting day itself is Saturday, May 1st. We encourage everyone to participate and make sure your voice is heard. Again, thank you all for joining us. We hope to see you all on Friday at 10 a.m. for our District 2 candidate forum in this same format. So look forward to seeing you all then. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you.
Appreciate you all.
Thank you. I hope you all are vaccinated.
I am.
Thanks, Clem. And I put a link to sign up for the D2 forum in the chat.
Yeah.
Hope to see you all there.
This audience is where we have little chats among ourselves as we